What is your nation's biggest shame? In Romania, they took 11 years to make 1 kilometer of a highway. I live in the States and we have a freeway in my city they've been working on since 2001. It's only half done and expected to be completed in 2029. I-4 in Orlando. Lol, that's never getting done. We took over 1,000 years for a church. Trust me when I say that Germany taking a 1,000 years to build a church is the least of your shame. We have been working on a national stadium for 25,000 people since 1987. Every now and then, a politician will mention that it will be completed by the end of the year. Simply Google Lithuanian national disgrace. They should get some advice from Poland. They built their most recent stadium in record time and under budget. Only problem was that no matter where you sat, you were behind a pole. This reminds me of another similar joke. I saw a guy in the Olympic Village carrying a massive stick. So I said to him, "Are you a pole vaulter?" To which he replied, "No, I'm a German." "And how did you know my name was Walter?" Upvote for your dad joke. I respect it. That is weird considering Vilnius in 1987 and Vilnius now. It's not like you guys are lazy. WTF. Lol. How is that even possible? 25k isn't even big. I'm floored. Just like the stadium will be by the end of this next year. Which building started in 1987 will be finished first? Lithuania National Stadium or Ryujayong Hotel? A photo I took of the Ryujayong Hotel in 2008, which had just begun reconstruction. Czech Republic. During a live broadcast in Chile, our previous president stole a ceremonial pen. That's hilarious. You should see the video. It's genuinely hilarious. He gives this little nod, like he's so effing clever. Just don't Google Czech president. We had some embarrassing ones. France. Our former president Nicolas Sarkozy kind of did that too to the president of Romania. Ike. He was signing a paper and liked the Mont Blanc pen that was presented to him to do so. And you can see him in the footage showing the pen to the Romanian president, as if to say, "Can I have that?" and then immediately put it in his chest pocket. The gesture was perceived as petty and greedy, kind of unbecoming from the president to a rich country like France. It's also hilarious to watch, but really embarrassing too. Well, maybe he politely asked if he can keep it. Man just wanted to keep a cool pen. As a Chilean I can tell that nobody here remembers it. Effing sheep, a fellow Welsh I see. So fun story. The reason this came about was because the punishment for stealing a sheep/fleece was the hangman's noose, but the punishment for effing a sheep was a small fine of a few shillings. So when the sheep rustlers were caught they would plead that they were just effing the sheep to avoid the noose. What happened when the Welshman started counting how many lovers he's had? He fell asleep. This makes me think of New Zealand. I wasn't even aware this was a thing for multiple countries. I moved to the UK from Australia. Every joke about the Welsh I've heard I'd already heard about the Kiwis. The Magdalene Laundries. Never heard of Magdalene Laundries until I read an article about how Synod O'Connor spoke up about how she was sent there as a teen. She got a lot of when she tore up a picture of the Pope on SNL in protest against their abuse. She was right though. The most vilified people are usually just the first ones through the door. 5 years ago talking about Prince Andrew/Epstein would have gotten you labeled as a nutcase. Wow, the more you know. Thank you. Here is the wiki link if you want to know. Seriously, what's with the church and its obsession with making unmarked graves? There's a bunch of films on the church did in Ireland. The ones that always come to mind are the Magdalene Girls, which is uncompromisingly honest in how they depict the horror and abuse of the laundries. The other is Philomena, starring Judi Dench and Steve Coogan. Read up on it. Pretty sad. Fallen women. How quickly we give labels to things we don't understand. My parents' nationality. The Khmer Empire. The Khmer Rouge really effed up the country. Cambodia went from being a pretty decent country to downright effing poverty at one point. It's gotten better, but most of the traditions and other practices are either forgotten or just rarely taught. Khmer history is amazing when you look back far enough. Yet I'm very saddened by what happened just a few decades ago. Your loss of food knowledge is upsetting. We went to a small village near Siem Reap where they are studying the history to try and find the old historical recipes that we lost. It was very interesting. Having been to Cambodia, it's still insanely poor. When I was there were stats that 1 in 4 women would end up in the sex trade in their lifetime. and 1 in 4 of those would contract HIV. That Khmer Rouge led to tons of consequences. Began small, the genocide, obviously, but even things like that, there are a lot of bullet holes in historic monuments like Angkor Wat. Still, it's a lovely place to visit, full of culture and some incredibly nice people. Our second monarch, Leopold II, used the Free Congo state as private property, enslaving, torturing, and killing 10 million Congolese people over the course of 25 years. I just listened to the Behind the Bastards episode on him. He was even a massive douche to his own children. He wouldn't let his daughter eat peaches off the palace's trees because he preferred to look at them, actually counted the damn things, and noticed when she snuck one off. What a petty little arseib. See, that's the schwa. Little things shouldn't always be ignored. Not saying every miserly a-hole is killing tens of millions of Africans, but when you're a shy person on little issues, you're usually one on actually important sh too. Behind the Bastards, you say, thank you. Looking that up now. He revoked hand privileges for slaves that couldn't work well enough. He was a terrible person. They were much more efficient than that. It was run as a corporation after all, rather than going through the effort of capturing/buying slaves and guarding them, etc. They just put quotas on all the villages with cut hands as punishment. On top of that, the security forces were not allowed to hunt with provided ammo, so as a way of proving that shot bullets were used to keep locals in check, they had to provide a hand of the person they shot. So they just went hunting and went to a nearby village to collect the needed number of hands. There's a book I read about this, King Leopold's Ghost, A Story of Greed, Terror and Heroism in Colonial Africa. It describes the events leading up the whole affair and the affair itself. And folks clutched pearls when statues of him got messed with for a little bit. Now most of those statues have been removed, and most of us are pleased with that. It was long overdue.